and I think it's a good question to ask. Part of the answer is going to seem rather too obvious, but it's important to remember that the people who emigrated from India in the 80s, 90s to live in Canada, UK, United States, Australia, West Germany, all over the world, obviously they were self-selected for people who did not prefer to live in India. This may have been that they were economic refugees looking for a better life, as simple as that, but it may also have been, in many cases, it was that they were political refugees. They were fleeing because they risked arrest in many cases. And so you had a population in the diaspora. Canada has the largest proportion of more than 500,000 Sikhs now. You had a population that was self-selected for antipathy to India. So in that sense, it's not a surprise if they passed these feelings on to the next generation, which they wanted to do. It's also not a surprise that many of them had a simple lack of experience of what life is like actually in India today and how India has changed over the past 3 or 4 decades, a generation, in fact. They also got used to having control of the social and cultural centers of the expat community, the Gurdwaras. Control not just of the revenues of those Gurdwaras, but also of their politics. So the average person might go to the Gurdwara every week and just look away when a bunch of Khalistanis were handing out leaflets and proselytizing in the Gurdwara, but they didn't then get into battle to take over the Gurdwara for what you might call the moderate wing, because most people don't get involved in politics. They have other things to do, like every other expat community. Sikhs in Canada were interested in getting the kids to school on time, making a living, getting ahead, and all the other quotidian interests of expatriate communities. So there's a few different reasons. And finally, I must mention the intimidation. There was indeed, less so today, but it's not over. There was intimidation by the separatists of those who did not support them. So that if you kept quiet, if you did go to the Gurdwara every week and look the other way as the Khalistanis did their thing, and you didn't bother them, no problem. But if you did speak out, then it could be bad for your health, by which I mean, for example, a friend of mine, Balraj Dayal in Toronto, 1985, he called a press conference. He was a young fellow, 28 years old. The theme of the press conference was Give Peace a Chance. He and some Hindu friends had joined together in a sort of peace forum, and they called a press conference to say we should give the Longowal Agreement between the Sikhs of Punjab and its then leadership and the government of Rajiv Gandhi, as it then was in New Delhi. He said, let's give peace a chance. For that crime, he was met in his parking lot late at night by 5 guys with baseball bats who beat him almost to death. They left him for dead. It was just pure chance that somebody happened to come by late at night and find him and call an ambulance. He barely survived. So for all of, it's rather a long answer, I grant you, but for all of those reasons, it's not a mystery why the old idea of an independent Sikh state survives in the diaspora, and it's become more recently more desperate because of the evident lack of support.
If I can just add something to what you said, Terry, very recently there was a Baisakhi procession in Italy, where the committee organizing had objected to the participation of some of the Khalistani groups. And there were scuffles, there was